Barukatadonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hello, everybody. This is Raucus, and I have hopefully a word of wisdom to give to you. So this one is particularly a word of wisdom based on what I didn't do, but probably what I should have done. So this is about marriage. Marriage is something that it's a really wonderful relationship. It's about bringing two people together and creating a family together, or just creating a household together, whether that involves children or not. But doing something together with somebody in a marriage relationship. And this is basically taking two worlds, putting them together, and trying to make them work. So, marriage is very difficult in and of itself. And it has a lot of things that you need to think about, like where are you guys going to live? Who's going to do who's going to get a job and work? Are you both going to get a job and work? Who's going to take care of the house? Who's going to do what chores in the house? Who's responsible for what? So many things to decide. And then you have like legal stuff that you have to deal with. You have extra things such as like joint accounts and stuff like that. Like everything that has to do with financial and legal and everything. There's so much to deal with in marriage that it's just difficult in and of itself. And it makes it even harder when you're in a relationship with somebody that is difficult to be with. Maybe abusive relationship, or maybe a loveless relationship, or maybe just a relationship that is just not easy. And so that can cause a lot of strain and a lot of problems. So my video today is about six steps that you can take to make your marriage easier, or hopefully make your marriage easier. Whether you're in marriage, most of what I'm going to give is for people who are not in marriage yet, who are considering marriage, either dating and in a marriage, or not dating and just looking for marriage in the future. These are things that you can do to prepare for it, but these are also things that you can do while you're in your marriage to hopefully improve your marriage. These are actually kind of things that me and my wife had to learn how to do while we were in while we're in marriage. We didn't do these things before marriage, and so marriage has been pretty difficult for us. It's great, it's wonderful. It's not anything that I would give up, but it's definitely more difficult than I would like it to be. So, with this, to kind of preface it, a long time ago, I had a professor in high school who gave me an assignment to that asked several different questions of what I wanted in my spouse, my future spouse, and what did I see in myself that would be good in a relationship, and basically just to get me to prepare for a future relationship in a marriage. And I didn't pay attention to it back then. Oh, here's some of the things that this homework assignment asked me, and some of the things that I think would be very good for you to ask yourself. So, whether you're Christian or not a Christian, I think this would probably go across the board, regardless of what your beliefs or systems are, because this is just basically wisdom of what you should prepare for. All right, so first step is to know yourself. What are your personality traits? What are your attributes? What are your skills? What values do you have? What are your goals in life? What are your short-term and long-term goals? What are your ethics? Or do you have ethics are something that is outside of yourself telling you what is right and wrong, like a law? Or do you have morals that you just do whatever you feel is right? And can any of that stuff change, or is a lot of that solidified with you to where you're like, no, I'm not going to change these things? What do you want to improve or get rid of? Do you have behaviors or thoughts or traits that are kind of self-defeating or very destructive that you would want to get rid of? What are good attributes and traits and personalities and thinking that you want to improve, or what are ones that are kind of mediocre that maybe you'd want to improve? What do you think that you bring to a relationship that is valuable? And do you want to improve on that or improve on other things that you think might not be valuable but could be if you changed? How do you show affection? How do you want to receive affection? Those are pretty good ones, pretty important ones to know. There's a thing called the five love languages, and it goes through a lot of the Christian churches, but I'm pretty sure it's popular in other areas too. And that kind of helps people understand how they give affection and how they like to receive affection. And it's not a thing of, oh, I'm going to tell you what you are, like horoscopes do, such as like zodiac signs or the Enneagram or personality tests that are like, this is what you are. And like, no, I don't really fit most of the stuff that they say that I am. I'm like, that doesn't really fit me. It is, but it is there to give you kind of some insight and say, okay, maybe this has parts of it, or maybe I'm a little bit different, and so this is what I would like, or this is how I want to show affection. This is not how I want to receive or show affection. So step 2, know your spouse. I mean this in a future sense. What traits, attributes, skills, values, ethics, or morals do you want to see in your future spouse? Or if you're already married, what would you like to see in your spouse? Um, who do you want somebody who understands how you receive affection and give affection, and in turn, you understand how they give and receive affection? This is very important lately because I've been running into a lot of people who struggle in their relationships because one of them is showing affection and the other one just doesn't understand that they're showing affection, so they feel like they're not being loved. And then another one, and then vice versa, it kind of goes both ways. Um, yeah, and this is all stuff that you want. What kind of attributes would you like your spouse to have? What kind of skills do you want them to have? Do you want them to have skills that complement yours or are the same? Same with kind of attributes and values. Do you want them to have the same ethics and morals as you? Or are you okay with ones that are different from yours but somewhat compatible? So a lot of things to think about. I mean, if you're already in a marriage, this is stuff that you would want to talk about with your spouse as well and just get to know them. Step 3, are there any deal breakers? Are there certain personality traits or attributes that you just can't handle, or ones that you can only handle for a certain amount of time? Are there values that you can't handle? Like if somebody holds different political or religious values, is that going to be polarizing to where you just can't stand to be around that person? So you avoid those people and choose somebody else for your spouse. Are there certain promises that a person can't break? Or shouldn't make in front of you? Are there certain skills or values or anything where you're just like, no, I don't really want to deal with that? So that's kind of stuff that you can look and see what you can't deal with, especially if you're single and looking for people to date. This is probably a good way to start somewhat. Step 4 is know how to view your marriage. How do you view your marriage? Do you view it as I'm going to live with them until death? Or are you going to, or is it going to be more of, well, if they break a promise, then I'm going to go ahead and leave? Is it an open relationship or an exclusive relationship? How do you view your marriage? In my opinion, I think what probably is best is an exclusive relationship, which means just you and your partner, nobody else in it, and a promise of to the death, because it makes things easier. Because marriage is a high commitment relationship. If at any point somebody can leave, it causes a lot of anxiety because then it's, okay, how do we talk about this problem and then they don't leave in the middle of us talking about it? How do we try to solve this problem? And if it's extremely emotional, then the other person might just break away, or you might break away. And there could be a lot of anxiety to where somebody starts acting in a way to try and trap somebody into a relationship because they're like, well, if I can trap them into a relationship, then maybe we can get these things solved because then they won't leave me while we're trying to figure this stuff out. if you both make a promise of we're going to stay married until death, it solves that. It really does give a breath of relief, because when you're dealing with highly emotional things or really struggling to figure out and resolve issues, you don't have that fear of what if they leave me? What if this is too much to handle and I need to leave? It's you have that kind of fortification of saying, okay, I know they're going to stay with me and I know I'm going to stay with them. We can get through this no matter what it is. Step 5, stick to your list. Figure out your top priorities and stick to it. As I grew up, I heard the culture basically say, oh, you don't need to be so picky in marriage. You don't need to be picky in dating people. Just have fun, do whatever you want, whatever feels right. If you marry a person and it doesn't work out, then you can just divorce him and go on. And you know what? That causes a lot of problems. It causes a lot of issues. Because if you marry somebody and you find out that you can't be in a relationship with them anymore and you just can't handle it, it causes a lot of issues and a lot of trauma, a lot of just really emotional struggle and crisis. There are a lot of issues with that kind of idea of, oh, let's just be carefree about things. It's especially if you come from a perspective of marriages until death, you want to be picky. Um, Step 6, talk to your potential spouse about these things. If you're dating people, ask them about these things. Learn what their attributes and skills and goals are, and ethics and morals, and figure out what they're like so that you can see if they match what you want in a relationship. If you're dating, make sure to talk about these things. If you're already married, talk to your spouse about these things. Figure out who they are. Um, to give you an idea of what I've learned in watching people and myself, the professor who gave me the homework assignment, he did a lot of introspection and analyzed all of his relationships, and he said I had a few people that I dated who, when I looked at our relationship, it would be good, but I didn't want good. I wanted a great marriage. And so he stuck to his guns, he stuck to his list, and he found somebody that gave him a great marriage. They have a wonderful marriage. As for me, I didn't really do that. I asked for as long as they like me first. And I got that. My wife liked me first. We dated for a while and got married, and we had a lot of issues. There were a lot of things we had to work out. I mean, we were two completely different people, think completely different things. That's like one of the tensions that we have is, oh, we don't agree on a lot of stuff. And it's like, well, that's fine. We don't agree on a lot of stuff because we're two different, completely different people. Of course, we're not going to agree on things. What's important is how we get to the same page. And so we've worked on that, and we had to work through a lot of things, a lot of resolving issues, a lot of figuring out, okay, how do we get to the same page on things? Because we wanted to make things work. And so far we're doing pretty well. I would say, if you were to ask me what is my greatest accomplishment, I would say dating and marrying my wife. Because there are a lot of things that I've learned through our relationship, and a lot of things to where if we weren't married, we would have never been able to do or come to understand. And so, even though my relationship with my wife is sometimes strained and it's hard and difficult, because marriage is hard and difficult, I do really enjoy my marriage with my wife and my relationship. And I'm very much glad that we are learning to be on one page with things, even though we differ on our ideas and beliefs. So, I want to leave you guys with this word of wisdom. I hope that this is helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. Go ahead and put them in the comments. If you have any other ideas that would be good relationship advice, please feel free to put them in the comments. So, Hope that you guys are doing well, and I will see you next time.